7:46 under an overcast sky, relatively mild this morning as you head out the door to get off to class. In the last week, the Ontario government has announced that they will cut 3,000 teaching jobs. Well, here in British Columbia, we're still talking about a teacher shortage. I'm joined by BCTF President Glenn Hansman. Glenn, tell us about the changes in Ontario and then how that's going to affect your guys' recruitment for teachers here in BC.
Well, I feel very worried for our colleagues in Ontario and the students in those schools because for the first time in decades, they are seeing the potential for massive layoffs and reduction of services to kids. Now, we need way more teachers in BC, so do some of the other Western provinces, so there's an opportunity to do some more recruiting and maybe get some of those laid off people to come out here, but it's still a very sad situation there.
Now, you have actively been recruiting in Ontario since, I believe, 2017. Will you amp up that effort?
Well, school districts around the province have been going to every province looking to see who they could scoop up, all these people coming out of the teacher education programs. And so a lot of BC school districts are presently out in Ontario talking to new graduates, talking to interested teachers, and so hopefully some of them will come. It's a hard sell, though, just because the cost of living in BC is so high, and how people are remunerated just in terms of basic pay is way less as a teacher than most of the other provinces. And so people have to be really motivated to come out here to British Columbia for other reasons. And so part of the pitch has to be about the opportunity that are here and how great it is to live here.
Sure, lifestyle as well as the jobs. Now, at the start of this school year, there was still a shortage of a few hundred teachers. What did you do to fill in that gap through the school year?
Well, that shortage remains, and it's more pronounced in some of the northern places in British Columbia, the interior, Burns Lake, Fort St. John, Dawson Creek, where even just generalist teaching positions are hard to fill, or their substitute teacher lists, teachers teaching on call, are made up almost entirely of people who are retired, former principals, not a sustainable workforce over a period of time. So we need people not just here in the Lower Mainland, but people who will stay, commit to teaching, get to know the community in some of those places in the province that are further from the urban centers, but still have lots of things to offer.
Sure. So are there still jobs here in the Lower Mainland, or are most of the jobs farther afield?
No, well, there are, and the Lower Mainland school districts will be posting most of their jobs in May and June for next year. We have the usual amount of retirements, people going off on maternity leave, but the student population continues to grow in most of the school districts. Vancouver is sort of being the exception, but if you're looking at Surrey and Burnaby and all those other places, the demand for teachers continues to increase. We still have more families moving into British Columbia with kids, and so that increases the school-age population as well. So we just need more teachers.
Are we talking about full-time jobs here or temporary jobs?
A mix, but a lot of full-time ones, and some of those specialty areas like French immersion or senior secondary, very sort of dedicated subject area teachers. There's still demand for that, but even at the elementary level, generalists, we still need them. And so this is a great opportunity for all those new teachers that are coming fresh out of a teacher education program to get full-time work right away if they're looking for that.
What about offshore teachers? We hear about teachers with backgrounds in Europe, for example, and they're coming over and they're not able to get work here. Is that the case?
Well, there's some challenges where the certification isn't quite the same. You know, we're very proud of the fact that here in British Columbia we have very robust standards for teaching certificate, and the public expects that. We want people to know their stuff, as well as understanding, school safety, inclusion issues around students with special needs, how to make schools safe and inclusive for students from equity-seeking groups. And not every jurisdiction does that. All the work that we do in BC around Indigenous education and making sure that we're incorporating First Nations history and culture into everything that we do in schools, that's something that's fairly unique to British Columbia. And so there is a bit of retraining that often has to occur when people move here, and the pedagogical style that might be used in some other jurisdictions might be sort of more regimented and less progressive than what is used, and so maybe it isn't necessarily the fit you would want. But that said, we are getting people from overseas apply here. Lots of them are successful when they come. There need to be supports, though, and so especially when it comes to French immersion, it's still important for the province and school districts to be looking beyond our borders, because there aren't enough French immersion teachers in Canada, period. And so we have all the provinces, including Quebec, competing for the same limited number of people.
Quickly, where can we find the jobs? Website?
Makeitfuture.ca is the spot where most of the school districts post their jobs, but individuals could also contact school districts directly.
Excellent. Thanks so much, Glenn. Thanks for coming in. Thanks for taking your time. Coming up,